everybody, it's Amalia, and I'm here today Copic coloring some stamps I got from Darcy's Heart and Home from the Not Too Shabby shop. I got this particular scene, it's called Tropical Beach Scene, and I've already Copic colored one, and I'll be doing another one with you here today. I also got another stamp set that's called Tidal Vibes, and I'll be showing you that in a second. These scene stamps are really great, easy coloring, and they have a couple of different examples. For example, they have a mountain scene, and I decided to get this one because I'm more of a beach girl than a mountain girl. I'm using E30 to lay down the first color for my sand. And by the way, I'm doing a lot of experimenting here, and so you may be able to take some tips away from what I've done, but don't consider this a tutorial because I'm experimenting, and I make some mistakes, and you'll see that along the way. So I'm just laying down the base color in E30, and even though the main image on the acetate didn't have it, I decide later to add some texture to the sand by introducing additional colors. This is E53, as hopefully you can see, and it is just a little bit of a different color, and it's just going to add a tone-on-tone sort of texture. Now that I've added some tone on tone, I'm going to take my Zero colorless blender and just do some additional dots with that, and that colorless blender will lift up some color, so you'll see some lighter areas, and that helps to create this texture of the sand. Here's a close-up and a side-by-side close-up. I go in a little bit later just adding a few more E53 dots, but I'm moving on right now to color in my stones. This is C3. I'm going to color the stones grays and browns. I'm starting with C3 to add shadow to the back end of my stones that I want to color in with some grays, and then I blend out from the back to the front in C1 to lighten up. I want to add texture to these stones or boulders, whatever you want to call them, so I'm going to use a white jelly pen, and I'm also going to grab this sepia toned pen. This is a Derwent graphic pen, and these are very fine tipped, so I'm just going to make very small dots all over in the brown, and then take the white and do the same thing. And I do this again to the stones as well as the coconuts in the palm tree. I'm going in with some warm grays for the center stone. I'm using W6 to do a shadow, and then I'll blend that out with W5, and then finally with W1, just to add a lighter color towards the outside of the stone. I'm going to use E53 and G21 on the smaller stones in that large cluster, and for the trees underneath the palm tree. Now, G is obviously a green. It's a very light green, and it's not a color that's really going to blend with an E color family item, but I want some of that green to show on top of that E53 so that it kind of looks like moss. That's E71, by the way, to do some shadowing, and I'm thinking right now, does moss grow on stones at the beach? I have no idea. Again, I'm experimenting here, so I'm using G94 and G21 to color my palm fronds. It's basically a dark green and then blending out with a light green color. So I'm gonna skip ahead. I used G99, and now I'm using YG13 to blend out the tips of the leaves by the rocks. I'm going to use BG07 here to start doing the darkest part of the sky, and here's where things kind of sort of go wrong. It turns out it's a lot darker of a color than I wanted to use, and I didn't like it. I try to lighten it up by going over it with a colorless blender, but it didn't work that well, and I wasn't going to scrap it, so I just kept going on. It made the color look a little mottled, which, you know, whatever, but I just kept going on. I took out my blues and colored the rest of the parts of the sky, and I colored the rest of the parts of the water, and now I'm using E74, E59, and E30 to color the trunk of the palm tree. Now to the coconuts. I'm going to use E77 to do the darkest part of the shadowing in the palm trees, and then I'll go in with other colors like E74, E71, and E53 to do some shading. Did you see what I did? I didn't notice it when I was doing it, but I can see it now. I totally just skimmed dark marker over the image, and there's no saving it. I try to save it, but there's no saving it, so I move on and I start coloring the mountains. I'm using various hues and shades of greens and yellows and turquoise to color the mountains. Here's a technique that might be new to you. I'm using the brush tip of one color of green to brush along a darker color of green to sort of create a blended color without having to go over one color with another. It's not a tutorial. This is maybe what not to do, but I hope you did get a couple of good tips from it. Here's the first image that I did. I will be using this second image that I colored with you, but you won't be able to see the sailboat in it. I'm going to put something on top of that that will work with both of these images, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click thumbs up, and you can get this stamp and more like it at the Not Too Shabby shop. Next are two completed cards, and I show you how to color in the teddy bear on the Not Too Shabby channel. To show you some of the additional Darcy stamps, scene stamps that are available at the Not Too Shabby shop. Please check them out. I'm going to have to add some to my collection. I appreciate you stopping by to watch this video. Thanks so much. Leave a thumbs up and a comment, and bye!